Bam, and just like that, the 2023 high school football season has arrived. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to week 0. I'm your host, Brandon Dunn, along with my tag team partner, Andrew James, once again, filling in the void, helping me out here on Friday nights as we start the 2023 season, and what a journey it will be. Who will be standing in December hoisting the hardware?
It was a scrapbook season last year for South Florence. Other teams also making good runs. Whether we see their winning ways continue this year, or would it be like the tin roof and be a little rusty starting out?
We're going to find out. Speaking of the defending Class 4A state champs, South Florence home tonight to open the season against Goose Creek, and that's where we begin. A new ball game, a new team for Drew Marlowe, but expectations are again high as a kite.
Third-ranked team.
Third-ranked team.
Gotta show up.
We got to go. South Florence we go. Florence, here come your defending 4A state champs. Get the action going. How about Zion Gilbert up the gut? First score of the game and the season, 7-0. Bruins defense comes up. Shantuan Harkless. Remember the name, remember the number, and remember the game. He strips it and takes it all the way in. That young man is primed for a huge season. 14-0 Bruins. Into the first quarter, Goose Creek hits back. The throw deep after it eludes the pass rush. That will be one of those that they look at tomorrow during film. 14-8 Bruins. But in the fourth quarter, Messiah Jackson comes in and finishes. Livingston, Cyree, the all-zoner, get in the game, my friend. This one all South Florence. The Bruins roll to open 23, 54-14. The final up in Flowtown. There it is. Bruins go to 1-0 on the young season. And as was the case last year, their non-region schedule, it is a brute. But, man, they showed out tonight to start it with Goose Creek. Next week, down to the Low Country to take on Oceanside Collegiate, which was a battle last year. If those folks can remember, that game was week 1 of the high school season in 2020.
Big game here. Hartsville, Conway. Number 5 ranked team, the Red Foxes, looking to keep on their winning ways.
They're going to be tough this year. Tough out.
It's always a tough time to be in Kellytown, too. We start off Hartsville getting on there early. Douglas taking the snap, handing off to McDaniel for an early touchdown. McDaniel, he's going to have a lot of fun this year. I can feel it. Feel it. Feeling it. 6-0 Hartsville starts the game off first. Conway, though, would get back in this one, obviously, with their playmakers. We're going to give you guys a quick look at the PAT, as they do not make this PAT. Now, Hartsville as well.
Quite sure.
I should predict it.
Maybe
go ahead.
Maybe we're watching the whole game there. Yeah. Okay.
But we're excited though.
I was wondering what's going on there.
Taking a quick handoff to number 1. Sheds is off the Hartsville defense. Easy breezy into the end zone. 7-13 though. Hartsville had already tacked on to this. Conway got on the board though, making it a 1-score game here as we close out the first quarter. Again, Conway, new coach, looking to make some things work for them.
They'll get things. They're going to get things turned around. They just got a lot on their plate to get things turned around.
Getting a running score is good. Shows that you guys have grit and they're making things work. Second quarter action right now. Douglas gets the ball, pushes through Conway line, and he makes it his own, taking his own number in there. Smooth operator. That puts Hartsville up 27-7. That 1-7 we showed you from Conway, that's all she wrote. They had to get back in the end zone. Hartsville takes this one big time.
Final tonight from Kellytown, 55-7. Red Foxes start the season off right with all the weapons they have. As I said, they are going to be one tough out. Next week on the road at Darlington, it is the Victory Bell next week between Myrtle Beach and Conway, the CW21 Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week.
Get your popcorn ready for that.
Takes us to this week's Ainer Wilson, the CW21 game of the week. It was a
classic last year.
It was a classic last year. How would this year pan out? Well, we're going to go back to Florence and show you. It was a good one. As they say, it was a doozy. We get it going first quarter. Here's Ainer Cole Johnson on 4th and 1. Not going to be denied. Direct snap. 8-0 Ainer after the 2-point conversion. But the Tigers, not going to be denied. They come back. Howard, Desmond Williams, fighting his way into the house, and we have ourselves an 8-6 ball game. Stay in the seconds. Matt Kirby right up the gut on the 2-yard plunge. That gives Aner the 14-7 lead. Right before the half, Howard connects with Jeremiah Coker. We're tied at 14
denied.
as we hit the half. We go fourth quarter, and this one, it gets exciting. Kirby, man, talk about following your blocks and hitting the seam. Hits the pylon, and we got ourselves a ball game. It's 2014 with less than 3 minutes to go, just like last season. And then Emmanuel. It looks like he's bottled up, but he stops on a dime, directs, and turns the corner. Outstanding. Tamonte taking it in, which would prove the game winner. Wilson rallies with 3 minutes to go. Then the defense held on. 21-20 your final tonight in Florence. Tigers pick up the win. Blue Jackets fall, but it's young season. We'll see what happens next week. Marion goes to Wilson. Aner is got Kings Tree. And the HTC game ball goes to none other than Mr. Emmanuel. That's right. After that touchdown to seal it for Wilson, he's deserving of the game.
The classic win in Wilson fashion, too. Speed being key for them.
That's right, speed. So congratulations to Tamonte as he takes home the Week 0 HTC game ball for the 2023 season. All right, my friends, we're just getting warmed up. More high school football coming up when we return. We continue to roll down the tracks for Week 0 of the high school football season here in South Carolina. It was a gorgeous night, as a matter of fact. It always is this time of year, and I got sidetracked there, but nevertheless.
So it's the nice, beautiful sunsets on the dawn of this football season.
It is the nice. Anyway, let's get back to football. West Florence last year, fantastic season. Obviously, graduation took its toll on a lot of their players. They had some guys they were trying to get into the mix, including some guys at quarterback. They went to Lexington tonight. Never an easy task.
Also, not shying away from non-conference schedules like South Florence, still trying to prove that West, the Knights, they're also a top dog in the PD. Coming into this, still also top 10 ranking for this game.
Yep.
As they take on Lexington. Let's roll it.
Columbia.
See how things fared for the Knights against the Wildcats. Lexington would get on there first with that ground attack. Actually, this was a big stop. Actually, that was a touchdown.
Yeah, it looked like a big stop.
I can't see the goal line. There's a pylon.
It looked like a big stop. But hey, give the Knights credit. Here we go. Franklin
getting in there to try and keep this a one-score game. But Lexington, home turf, would prove to be.
And that right there was they were trying to get the ball on the onside with a minute to go. Didn't work out. And at the end, it was who?
It was all Lexington in this one. Still a closer one than what we've seen for most of the night. Wildcats win this one 17-7. West Florence falling in their first one, so showing a little rustiness as they start things off.
Yeah, we'll see if they can bounce back next week. Lake City at home. At Darlington tonight, Jamie Johnson is first as the Falcons head coach, and we go third quarter action. Darlington leading this one, looking for a little bit more, and they would get that in their run game. Haley running it right through and into your living room. Look for Darlington to really make a little bit of noise this year in that offense that Jamie brought to the table. That would give Darlington the 20-12 lead. Later on, more from the Falcons as they would look to pour it on. We're all over the place tonight in terms of our camera work.
But you know who wasn't? The Falcons.
The Falcons were.
Our team, they didn't
but our camera guy was.
We're giving you the nice scenic views.
He's giving you all the scenic views he can. And then we're gonna look at the huddle. And then we're gonna go and play a little bit more football. This time, Brown on the connection. What can Brown do for you? How about another touchdown? 2-point conversion is good after that one. And Darlington, yes, the Falcons are victorious tonight. 34-20 as they go on to pick up the win. That's their first win in a long time.
They didn't win last year.
They didn't win last year, so it's been 2 years ago since the last one they won. Hey, congratulations, Falcons. Enjoy this one. Next week, you got Hartsville coming to town, so we'll see how that one pans out.
End.
One Friday Night Rivals game of the week. The
Ding,
victory
ding.
bell,
Ding,
ding
ding,
it,
ding,
ding
ding.
it. Conway won it last year. Myrtle Beach looking to reclaim it, while the Tigers hope to keep it for a second consecutive season, which really hadn't been the case for them in
know,
about
last
2
time that's happened,
decades.
yeah.
It's been a long time. So we'll take you out to the new duds there at Conway. The field looks awesome, a packed house, and rightfully so. And it's the Tigers who come out smoking. Devin
Wide
Granger
open.
hits a wide open receiver, and that young man does the rest from there. Follow your blockers and turn on the Jets. Conway strikes first. Things looking good. The Tiger Nation fired up. Hey, and rightfully so, 6-0 Conway. Then Granger again. How about across the middle to Derek Grant? And it looked like Conway was about to grab that bell for the second straight year, but Myrtle Beach comes back and answers the bell, so to speak. Malachi Washington in for his first touchdown of the game, and boy, he continued to rattle it and roll it. Comes back moments later, takes it in for yet another score. That put Myrtle Beach up 21-14 in the second. Later on, the air game comes to show. Goodrow with a dime. John Simmons, the connection was great. 2 touches on the night for that young man. And Myrtle Beach reclaims the victory bell as they beat Conway 51-14. Seahawks win for the first time this year. Tigers still looking for that first dub of 2023. We'll see if they can do it next week with Ashley Ridge coming to town. Myrtle Beach going down to the Shark Tank to take on St. James. And who was the HTC game ball winner? Well, it shouldn't surprise anyone. Malachi Washington showed out and showed up. That young man had a fantastic game on his way to helping his football team get the victory bell on his senior season in his last game against the Tigers. Congratulations, Malachi. Well deserved. A big win last week. Second-ranked South Florence on the road tonight, going down to Oceanside Collegiate to take on the Land Sharks. Unfortunately, we had some issues getting those highlights, but we will take you to the scoreboard, show you what happened. Big night again for South Florence. They rolled over Oceanside 28-6 to run their record to 2-0. Another big test next week for the Bruins as Orangeburg Wilkinson comes to town. We will definitely have highlights of that one for you as Andrew James will take the Catbird seat next week. We'll have a little bit more on that later on in the show. Let's move on and continue on as Marion made the trek up to Wilson. Andrew, take it away.
Yeah, let's roll with this. Swamp Foxes taking on Wilson Tigers. How will this fare? Marion, pretty much a favorite in this, but would that be the shape? It's always tough in Tiger Town. Wilson starting off early, handoff to Emmanuel, toss over. Waiters wide open right there, going left the screen, completely faking out the camera, and 80-yard touchdown to Coker. Good touchdown, and Tigers are on the board early. Cheerleaders fired up about that.
Jordy got a little messed up on that one.
Yeah, it was trickery. This no trick here. This is just classic athleticism.
Rashid's good, dude.
Rashid Scott. Didn't get that right. Skirting through the entire defense. Bye-bye, defense. I got a house call. That's how it plays out for Swamp Foxes. They're up on the board, too.
Kentucky commit, by the way.
Rightfully so.
Yep.
Speed, height, all the good attributes for this one. But Wilson would try and make some noise themselves. An absolute banger down to Boston. Doesn't have all the gas, though, but still, great connection between Howard and Boston there, setting themselves up in the red zone. Tiger Town roaring right here. Howard handoff to Emmanuel, pushing through, pile on for touchdown there. This stayed pretty close. But, of course, top-ranked team coming out on top in this one. Swamp Foxes, 32-24, your final.
All right, we'll see what happens next week. Wilson got a tough opponent again next week as they go to Dillon. Always a tough place to play. We'll talk about the Wildcats here shortly. As for Marion, they're going to head to Central.
We go now. Orangeburg, Wilkinson, South Florence. Matchup that South Florence likes to see, getting some early testers as they are still primed to the number 1 team in the state. Let's roll. Nice, peaceful evening in South Florence at Bruin Stadium. And we get things moving here early. Jaden Sellers finding a hole, gap, making people miss. Agility helps out a lot. Touchdown, Bruins. Coach is okay about it. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, we got to win by more, though. Messiah Jackson would help that out. Long pass to Chandler Jackson. Woo! Stay in balance, my friend, and he did. Good catch there as we are rolling in this one. honestly, you know what this probably ended up being. Let's roll the board on this one. South Florence, just a dominant performance again. 61-0, your final over Orangeburg. Wilkinson, South Florence, Carolina Forest. Heck of a matchup we have set for next week there. As a closer look at the big schools, another top-ranked team, West Florence, coming into Horry County to take on Socastee. Braves country, we go. Socastee getting a win the first game of the season and then getting walloped by Silver Bluff. Let's head down to Braves country for this one. We start in the second half. Knights are up 21-7. Socastee would fight all night, though. Wojcik finds Scott for a 20-yard touchdown. The Braves cut the deficit to just 7 on that point. Knights, though, high-powered offense. Not easy to stop. Trey Leonard bounces to the outside, a big chunk, getting that first down. Moving the ball down the field is a good idea. You get rewarded. Punching it in 2-yard there. That put the Knights up 28-14. Rocco and company, they wouldn't back down though. They did answer the Knights on their next drive. Rocco right here with the red. Boom. Pretty. Goswick on the reception there for the score. The Braves once again cut it to a one-score game. However, the Knights would hold on to win this one as we head to the board. And what was a fun game until West Florence woke up. 49-27. They know who they are, and they are 2-1. The Braves now with 2 straight losses as they look to go to Myrtle Beach. Pretty good rivalry matchup there. West Florence next week. Your Friday night rivals game of the week against Dreher. That'll be on the CW21. We have the Friday night rivals matchup here coming up in just a minute there. A good solid win for the 8th-ranked team in their region. Now let's head to another top team in the PD. Dillon playing host to the Tigers. A matchup that has been its history of a pretty fun time. Let's get rolling. Dillon Memorial Stadium rocking tonight. Late in the first quarter, Wilson gets a snap. Miscommunication though on that snap. Recovered by Garyon Brown. Dillon ball. And when Dillon has the ball, they make it pay. Oxidine passing right hits Felton. Gets it down just short of the end zone, but still in prime position to make something happen. Collum does. Squirts through the defensive line and finds pay dirt. 7-0 Dillon early in this one. We'll get over now to second quarter action to give you an idea of how this game is pretty fun. Howard back to pass, lofts it up, waiting on Jeremiah Coker. Feed the man. He's a tall boy. He likes to catch. Howard back to pass. He's got time. He's looking. Then he breaks out left, still looking downfield, fires a dart. Outreached arms of Myquan McWhite. Give that man a McDouble on this one. Touchdown, Tigers. That would tie it all up at half. Not a lot of action in the half as we head to the board. It really picked up. Dillon, 31-13. Wildcats still number 1 in the state, number 1 in your hearts as they get the win here. They will take on Hartsville next week for a big matchup there. Wilson heading down to Hilton Head. Kershaw County we go. Lugoff Elgin looking for their first win of the season. Demons welcoming the Darlington Falcons, who are having some positive moments here to start the season off after being winless for 25 last games ahead of the 23 season. Those special teams, defense, all over the place in this one. Branham's punt for the home side was bobbled by Darlington's Tavari Wilson. The Falcons were forced a turnover, and there was really no scoring in this one. We'll go ahead and go to the board as your final. Lugoff 7, Darlington 0 in that one. Not a lot of question marks in that one as Darlington looks to host Sherall next week. Respective regions and classes, the Bulldogs coming in to Kellytown to take on the Red Foxes. Let's get rolling. Beautiful evening, as you can see there. The skies were showing out. Red Fox is already up by 7, and they showed up on defense. Call him by his name. Marion Coe taking off with the INT. He's brought down by a host of Bulldogs, but in good field position already for the Red Foxes. Rolling in this one. Next play, McKendry Douglas takes a snap, the handoff. Waters pushes into the end zone. Hartsville up 13 zip right there. Striking right back though. Wide handoff to Hickman. Burst through the defense there. Camden getting on the board to try and make this somewhat of a game. Number 4 versus number 4. This is supposed to be a real good one. Into the first quarter, Douglas handoff to McDaniel, the speedster. 80 yards, house call. Dinner's hot, it's ready. Get you some cooking. Just cooked that defense for the big run there. Hartsville up 20-6. We move out to the second quarter action. A handoff. McDaniel again running in for another touchdown. Not giving a beat. This kid is pure speed and athleticism. We go to the board. 34-6 was the half-time score, and Red Foxes continue to roll in this one. Big statement win for Hartsville. Undefeated still, setting up for another major matchup in the PD as they go to take on number 1 Dillon. That'll be one heck of a game, as this one was for the Red Foxes. Keeping in with some top-ranked teams that are taking on our area.
In the PD between two of the best here in South Carolina. Number 1 ranked Dillon hasn't lost a region game since losing to Mallard Creek back in 16. It's been a long time. Hartsville, they've been rolling all season long. Matter of fact, coming off a huge win over Camden last week. Both teams perfect. Both teams looking good early on in the season. And with that, we go to Dillon Memorial Stadium, and this one, my friends, did not disappoint. First quarter, game tied. McCullum, direct snap up the gut. We've seen that a lot from this team. Wildcats up 21-14. Right before the half, Cats looking to add one more. Singletary pushes his way in for another Dillon touchdown, and the Wildcats were in control, up 14 at the half. Second half, Hartsville comes storming back. Carmelo McDaniel takes off. When he is in the open field, you're not going to catch that young man. He puts Hartsville up 29-28. Hartsville continuing to push. This time, Hakeem Waters down the sidelines into the house. Red Foxes would rally from 14 down at the half to win this one with a very dramatic fourth. Hartsville 51, Dillon 34. First loss, region loss for the Cats since 16. Hartsville wins for the second consecutive week over a top 5 opponent. Red Foxes go to 4-1. Cats drop their first game in a long time in terms of region. This one, however, couldn't have been any better, and rightfully so. Caught up with Jeff Calabrese after this one to get his thoughts on the Red Foxes win. Of course, was here on the grandstand tonight to take on Carolina Forest. Panthers looking to bounce back after 2 really disappointing and disheartening losses over the last 2 weeks, especially last week to Oceanside, where they lost in the final seconds. Bruins, they've been rolling all season long. Now it's a night pair. We go out to Carolina Forest High School. Bruins won this matchup last year. Different story, though, here early on. Right down the field, the Panthers go. Ethan Hamilton calls his own number, rolls in from 5 yards out, and the Panthers take the early lead. Carolina Forest, well, they would have to try to hold on defense. Unfortunately, the Bruins, well, they roll out to Jaden Sellers on 4th down, and the South Carolina recruit takes it down the sideline. Nowhere near an opportunity for the Panthers to try to slow him down. We are tied at 7. Midway through the second quarter, Panthers in the red zone. Hamilton scrambles, doing his best to find somebody, and there is that somebody. Mahood back of the end zone all alone. Panthers in the driver's seat at the break, 14-7. Second half back and forth, but in the end, the Bruins would get the touchdown late to win this one as we head to the scoreboard. South Lawrence remains perfect on the young season, but they had their biggest test of the season tonight, and they passed it 30-22. Another disheartening loss for the Panthers as they drop to 1-3. That's 3 consecutive losses for Carolina Forest after winning their first game of the season. Next week, South Lawrence heads to South Point. That was a big game for this program last season. We'll see what happens again next week when these two collide. As for Carolina Forest, they're going down to the low country. See if they can get back on track. That'll be a tough one for them as they head to Stratford. The Knights at home taking on Dreer to get the action going. West won this one last year, and early on, Franklin Emerson sets the tone. The senior under center makes the most of his opportunity back at quarterback. First time since the sophomore year, no problem, rumbles in. 7-0 Knights. West back on the doorstep. Emerson once again, his second score of the quarter. Knights led 14-7 after one. We move to the second. More from West Florence and more from Emerson. He finds pay dirt midway through the frame to push the Knights' lead to 21-3. West putting the hammer down on Dreer in this one. They would add a little more right before the half, and it's the air show. Emerson airing it out, and check out the grab by Keyshawn Johnson, and he does the rest from there. Takes it in for another score. The Knights showed little mercy to the team from Columbia. West wins their third consecutive, winning this one tonight. Your final 44-17 as West goes to 3-1. Heading into the bye after 3 consecutive wins, looking rather good, I should say. After taking care of business over the last 3 weeks, they'll go into the bye, work on a few things, and get ready for region play, which will begin here in a couple of weeks. And that takes us to the HTC Game Ball winner, and it should be no surprise to anyone as we roll that video. It is none other than number 5, the senior, the Mr. Knights. Franklin Emerson takes home the HTC Game Ball, and rightfully so. He had a phenomenal game to lead and help lead this football team to the 3rd straight win. The North Myrtle Beach. Josh Pierce doing his best to get the Tigers moving in the right direction. He will. It's just going to take some time. North Myrtle Beach under Greg Hill coming along. Coming off their first win of the season. They've been in every ball game they've played so far this season. How would they go tonight? Back home to take on the Tigers. And with that, we go to North Myrtle Beach, and here come the Chiefs, ready to rock and roll, and they get things going early on. Klossinger playing well this season, steps up, pump fakes, launches one, and finds Anderson Whites, who gets it done inside the red zone, and the Chiefs are knocking on the door. A few plays later, how about a little scamper and score? Here it's Bellamy cutting it outside and then finding pay dirt. 6-0 Chiefs early on in the first. Defense also playing well. Granger in trouble, brought down by Keith Allison and a host of Chiefs in that secondary. It was a tough night for Conway in terms of offensive production. Chiefs back, close range situation, goal to goal. This time Prince buoys his way into the end zone, rolling over defenders and putting the Chiefs up 13-0. Tigers offense not very productive. The Chiefs, they were. And the end results, a North Myrtle Beach win. They put back-to-back in the win column. North Myrtle Beach is now 2-2, not 1-2, 2-2 on the season. Back-to-back wins, 27-8. Conway falls to 0-3. North Myrtle feeling good going into that bye. Of course, they'll kind of heal up and prepare. They've got a long stretch in that Region 6 as it will begin here in a couple of weeks. As for Conway, they'll head back home, looking to see if they can get their first win as Loris will come to town. Not an easy test by any means. The Lions are playing well. We'll see how that one goes a week from tonight. Darlington, Sherrall. This was a very good football game a couple of years ago. Now that Darlington's under new management, how would this one go after Sherrall somewhat handled the Falcons over the last couple of years? And with that, we go to the nest. Man, I love Darlington's helmets, I gotta tell you. They are nice. Sherrall going for the field goal here. It is up and true. That would cut the Darlington lead to 28-17 as we start the second half. Darlington getting it done. Jalen Augusta finds Wells, who manages to come down with the touchdown there. Augustus looking good on that pitch and catch. And Darlington was feeling pretty good about themselves. Yes, every day we do. Get the Falcon, they got the Falcon thing going on. I don't know what that means. Anyway, Wilson trying to get in the end zone. He does, however. This one brought back due to a penalty. There was a lot of penalties, a lot of personal fouls, a lot of issues in this game that head coach Jamie Johnson and his staff will not like to see. They're going to try to correct those, but they did get the win. And the Falcons are now 2-2 on the season. Braves fall to 1-2. Sherrod will head to Marion. That is the Friday night rival CW21 game of the week next week. Darlington will head across into Florence to take on Wilson, and we'll talk about the Tigers here in just a few minutes. But Darlington, they've won more games over the last couple of weeks than they have in the last couple of years. So obviously, Jamie Johnson and his staff are doing rather well in Darlington. What can you say about Hartsville and what they've done so far this season? Well, it's been rather impressive. The Red Foxes home again for their third consecutive game against a ranked team, this time taking on 6th-ranked Irma. We go to Kellytown Stadium, and here come your second-ranked Red Foxes ready to roll, but it's the Yellow Jackets that set the tone early. Jaden Allen Hendricks pushes in for the score to give the visiting team the early 7-0 lead. Not the start Jeff Calabrese and his team were hoping for, and it doesn't get much better for the home team because Hendricks does it again. Walks in for the second time. That would extend the Irmo lead to 14-0. The ensuing kickoff, let's get fired up. Every time you see a kickoff for the most points, you're going to see some points. And how about Code? Gone. Finding his way to the house. That young man is special. We knew coming into the season he was going to have a good one, and he does. He takes it to the house. The crowd goes wild, but unfortunately, those were few and far between tonight for Hartsville. They fall 35-21. Their first loss of the season. They go into a bye, looking to regroup before they head to South Florence to open region play. And let me tell you something, that is going to be a packed house. A big game. It also included two teams ranked in their classifications, 1 in 4A, of course, that being West Florence, on the road to take on third-ranked Burns out of Class 5A, a good measuring stick for the Knights prior to region play, which for them begins next week. How would they fare in Duncan, South Carolina against the Rebels? We head to the upstate and show you the action. Pick this one up early on. Late second, Burns already leading this one 28-0, and plays like this won't help the cause for the Knights. The fumble recovery, that leads to another Rebel touchdown, 10 yards. That would put them up 35-0. Knights just couldn't quite get anything going tonight. A big reason was Burns is a good football team, and plays like that won't help out your cause. Weaver takes it 79 yards on the TD strike. It was a lot of scoring for the home team and none for the Knights. West Florence falls for the second time this season as they were shut out. Your final as we go to the scoreboard, 49-0. Ouch. Not what Jody Jenneret and this football team were hoping for and or prepared for, but it's what they got. So they will lick their wounds, return to practice next week, and prepare for region, which begins a week from tonight, and it won't get any easier because the Knights are preparing for Mickey Wilson and the Red Hot Seahawks, which we'll get to later on in the show. Myrtle Beach, clearly not the team they were last year. They've got things going in the right direction. West will have to get theirs going in that direction as they return to practice on Monday. We'll have, of course, scores and highlights of that game for you next week as the drive to the Region 6 championship begins, and that's not the only big game. We'll talk about the big game later on in the end zone. Thursday night high school football, 4th-ranked Marion taking on Myrtle Beach. Let's go to the Shaw. Here come the Seahawks playing well. Both teams, as a matter of fact, pick it up early on. Gabe Cusack, quick strike. Jamison dives into the promised land. Marion strikes first, 8-0 after the 2-point conversion. Seahawks, though, answer. That's on a miscue on the kicking game. Malachi Washington, the 2024 All-Zoner, picks and scoops and scores. Myrtle Beach back within 1, and Malachi just starting to get warmed up. Right before the half, Myrtle Beach does some more damage. It's none other than Washington with yet another score right up the middle. Dude was outstanding for Mickey last night, and the end result was another win for the Seahawks. They take it 59-12. Since losing to Camden in week 0 of the high school football season, this team has gone on a roll. They have won every game, and that leads into next week's game against West Florence. As for Marion, well, they got to get it figured out. It's their first loss of the season, but they got Andrews coming in, and that virtually is the region championship next week. No disrespect to the other teams, but those are the top 2 teams in that region, and they're going to figure it out next week. Week 6 of the End Zone is here, my friends, and it means one thing. It's region time around the ABC 15 viewing area. Good evening and welcome to the End Zone. I'm your host, Brandon Dunn. Let's start off with a game that most people around our area were talking about before the season even began. It's the Friday Night Rivals game of the week. Number 1 South Florence at home to entertain 5th-ranked Hartsville. Bruins perfect to date. Red Foxes 1 loss. That was to Irmo 2 weeks ago. We head out to Florence, pick up the action here in the early going. In the first, it was Hartsville already leading 7-0 when the Bruins answer the call. Cyree Livingston finds plenty of room up the middle, and we are tied at 7. Move to the second. Red Foxes continue to put down the hammer. Carmelo McDaniel, the all-zoner, hits pay dirt to extend the Red Foxes lead to 7. South Florence ties it at 14. Red Foxes at it again. It's Waters in for the score. 21-14. This a heavyweight battle. Back and forth we go. Bruins go into the bag of tricks. McCart finds his man Jets. That right there would give us a tie ball game at 21. And right before the half, McCart finds Gibson in the end zone. The tight end would give the Bruins their first lead of the game. One they would not surrender. South Florence remains perfect as they run away with this one in the second half to win your final 49-21 as we hit the scoreboard. Bruins are the team to beat out of Region 6 after handling their business tonight. Hartsville, well, they are heading to the beach next week to take on the Seahawks. As for South Florence, they will head over to Wilson. Speaking of Myrtle Beach, we're talking about them shortly, but how about the HTC Game Ball winner, Quincy Rhodes? Congratulations to that young man. Had a fantastic night tonight to help the Bruins win over Hartsville. Seahawks now and West Florence. Wild second half in this one, and that is where we pick things up. We go to the Castle. Second half action. Franklin Emerson and this night's offense going to work. Calvin Hunter, the South Carolina commit, shows off the wheels and shows you why he is a future Gamecock. Jordy got hits, but nevertheless, he's all right. And West Florence would extend their lead later on. More from the Knights. This time, it's Emerson. He'll fake the handoff, and the all-zoner does the rest himself. Hits pay dirt as the Knights look like they were going to be going ahead and putting this one out of reach, but hold up, because Myrtle Beach would answer late. Gibson Goodrow launches the 80-yard strike to a sliding touchdown here. John Kelly, and we got ourselves a ball game, my friends. It was a 28-21 Knights lead with 11 minutes to go. After a safety, Goodrow at the buzzer airs one out. Raven Green comes up with a stellar touchdown as the clock hits 0 and the Seahawks walk it off, my friends. What an outstanding comeback by Myrtle Beach, a heartbreaker for West. Your final 29-28 Myrtle Beach. They were all but done until the last couple of minutes, and they would find a way to win it. They'll take on Hartsville. West Florence will take on North Myrtle Beach next week. Speaking of North Myrtle Beach, home tonight to open region against the Wilson Tigers. Opening drive for North Myrtle Beach, they would hit a field goal, so they go back to work. And when they drew, they find Drew. Prince finds a hole and hits pay dirts. 10-0, the Chiefs looking good. Ensuing kickoff. They squib it. Raquan McCall hits the sidelines, and with his speed, you're not going to catch that young man. The senior goes the distance to cut the Chiefs' lead to 10-7. How would the Chiefs respond? Well, they go after and go right back to Prince. On this night, he may be known as the King. That touchdown extended the Chiefs' lead, but this one goes to overtime where Wilson, the Tigers, rally the troops to win it. Outstanding rally by Wilson as we take you to the scoreboard. Wilson does, in fact, win it in overtime, double overtime for that matter, 41-40. Huge win for Wilson as they go to 1-0 in region, dropping the Chiefs to 0-1. Chiefs, again, heading to West Florence. As for Wilson, they will take on the #1 team in the state next week in South Florence. Off in Class 4A Region 6, the SEC of high school football here in the state of South Carolina. Two area teams battling at Doug Shaw. 8th-ranked Hartsville, coming off a loss last week at #1 South Florence, had to make the long trek down here to the Grand Strand. Myrtle Beach, the Mickey Miracle, last week against West Florence. How would these two go after two emotional games last Friday? To the Shaw. Always an interesting game between these two, and it always ends up being one that's for the ages. Off and running we go. Hakeem Waters gets the scoring started. 7-0 Hartsville after one. We head to the second. Red Foxes looking to add to their lead. McKendree Douglas with an absolute dime. Keon Hickson strolls in. Hartsville making a statement. Seahawks, well, they go back to work. 4th and a mile. Gibson Goodrow rolls out and throws an absolute dime to John Simmons. Back of the end zone. What a play. Myrtle Beach pulled within 14-7 at the half. And in the second half, the Seahawks would hold the Red Foxes several times and end up winning this ball game late. Myrtle Beach off to a 2-0 start in region. As we go to the scoreboard, Myrtle Beach wins it 24-21. Heck of a second half and heck of a two-game stretch for Mickey Wilson and this Seahawk football team. Next week, though, buckle up and get ready. The Seahawks heading to Florence to take on South Florence. That will be a game between two ranked teams. I'd be highly surprised if Myrtle Beach isn't ranked when they come out on Monday. We'll see. Hartsville backs against the wall. 0-2 heading to Little River to take on North Myrtle Beach. Red Foxes have to have it if they want to get to the postseason. How about South Florence coming off that in Wilson, both 1-0 in region. We get it going here for homecoming. And it's the Bruins who would get things rolling early. Cyree Livingston, the all-zoner, straight up the middle, finds pay dirts. And just like that, the #1 team in the state takes an early lead. Hey, check out the 1978 class from Wilson in the stands, enjoying the festivities. Livingston, not quite done, rolls in once again. Another touch for the Bruins as they extend their lead to 14-0. Wilson coaches trying to figure it out. And when you do, you go to your man, Jaron Waiters. The East Carolina commit hits pay dirt. We got ourselves a ball game. It's a 7-point edge. But back come the Bruins as they would tack on one more score on the pitch and catch. Nice pitch, nice catch. Nice touchdown. Bruins flexing their muscles as they would go on a tear late in the first half and cap it off with the Zion Gilbert touchdown, which about put this one all to bed. Bruins remain perfect. 51-14, the final, heading into that showdown against Myrtle Beach next week. As we alluded to, Wilson now 1-1. West Florence coming to town, or making the short trek, I should say, through town to get to Wilson next week. Knights 0-1 in region. That heartbreaking loss to Myrtle Beach last week. Same holds true for North Myrtle Beach as they lost in double overtime to Wilson. This game right here, crucial in terms of who would have an opportunity to make the postseason this fall. And with that, we go to West Florence, pick it up second half. Trenton Fredericks keeps it and pushes his way in for the touchdown. The Chiefs trying to get back into this one after West looked pretty salty in the first half. West not done, though, in the scoring department. Franklin Emerson finds Mr. Lowry, and Terry does the rest. Avoids a host of Chiefs on his way to the end zone. Jody Jenneretz pleased with what he sees from his offense as they regain the edge. They're not done, though. How about Bobby Patterson pushing his way through traffic? Will not be denied. Finds the end zone yet again. But the Chiefs not going away. Fourth quarter, looking to make it a ball game. And when you have Landon Cloninger running your offense, you're going to do some good things. He scrambles, hits Anderson White, who hangs on to the rock. Chiefs pull a little bit closer, and they made it interesting, but West Florence would come up big on the defensive side of the ball late in the ball game to go on to win by 10. Your final from the Castle, 40-30. Knights grab that first and important all-region win. North Myrtle Beach drops to 0-2 in that department as they prepare to head home to take on Hartsville. As for the Knights, we just alluded to it, they will head over to Wilson. In Class 4A Region 6, the top two teams in that region, both undefeated, heading into tonight. The Myrtle Beach Seahawks entering the top 10 this week for the first time this season, coming in ninth to take on the undefeated and number one team in the state, which they've been all season long, the defending state champs from South Florence. And with that, we go to Flowtown to see who would take over the top spot. South Florence in command here late in this one. McCarts boils in and bowls in for another touchdown. A clean pass to the end zone. That would extend the South Florence lead as they would hold Myrtle Beach scoreless. Then, with time winding down, Messiah Jackson hits Lennox Valerie for the touchdown. That right there would all but put this one to bed. South Florence goes on to shut out Myrtle Beach 42-0. That extends the Bruins' winning streak to 23 straight, dating back to last year when they went 15-0. Up next for the defending state champs, back home again to take on the Chiefs from North Myrtle Beach. As for the Seahawks, they'll go back home, still very much in the mix for a second place finish in this region, if, of course, they can win out. They have Wilson next week, and then they conclude with the beach battle against North Myrtle Beach. 2 more games to go with just 1 loss in the region. To Wilson and West Florence. Both of these teams squarely in the mix for the postseason, both trailing South Florence now for the overall top spots in Region 6. Here come the Tigers. Ready to rock and roll tonight? Oh yeah, flipping, I like that. But it's West who gets the action going. Franklin Emerson, quick strike, out to Terry Lowry, and he is in through the Wilson defense to put West on the board. Later, more from the Knights. They get their offense cranking yet again, and it's Emerson, long pass, Xavier Davis going up against Jaden Willison, but the hands on the ball, and they fight for it. Wilson would end up getting the touchdown in the back of the end zone. So the Knights extend their edge. West looking for a little bit more. Emerson, Keyshawn Johnson, and check out 2 feet in the end zone. That is pretty, my friends. Technique football. West Florence would go on to pick up the win 34-22. And congratulations to West Florence head coach Jody Jeanneret. He picks up his 50th career win at West Florence, and since arriving at West, this program has been one of the best in the state of South Carolina, and that is all because of what Jody Jeanneret and that coaching staff have put together over the last several years in terms of wins and losses at West Florence. They will head to Hartsville next week to take on the Red Foxes. As we alluded to, Wilson heading down here to the beach to take on the Seahawks. Speaking of Hartsville, this right here, believe it or not, would determine who would remain in the playoff picture. The loser here would most likely not make the postseason. Hard to believe, but that's where we are with 3 weeks to go. We get things going from North Myrtle Beach. First quarter opening drive for the Red Foxes. Hakeem Waters hits the corner and just breaks a few tackles on his way to pay dirt. That young man filling in nicely for Carmelo McDaniel, who did miss this one, is out. But his counterpart here doing work. Waters finding a hole and then breaking off a little something. He reminds me a lot of former West Florence tailback Alim Ford. Yeah, Alim's done pretty well for himself, and I got to believe that young man's going to do pretty well for himself because he finds the end zone again. 3 touchdowns for Waters in the first half. That would put Hartsville up 21-0. Chiefs, with about 3 minutes to go over the half, Landon Cloninger hits Brown Reeves for the touchdown to cut the Red Fox lead to 21-7. Second half, all Hartsville. They cruise. Your final for North Myrtle Beach. 49-14. Red Foxes find the win column for the first time in region this year, and they keep their playoff hopes alive as they head home to take on West Florence. North Myrtle Beach, tough challenge. They head up to South Florence to take on the #1 team in the state. Top-ranked South Florence, 2 wins from another region crown, taking on North Myrtle Beach. First quarter, Bruins on the move. Inside handoff, Zion Gilbert finds plenty of room as he rumbles to the end zone, giving the home team the early 7-0 lead. It stays that way until the second. Bruins into the bag of tricks. Cyree Livingston with the jump pass. Hits a wide open Gibson, who does the rest. South Florence remains perfect. 41-2 the final here. South extends their winning streak as they look to go undefeated heading to West Florence next Friday. Playoff seedings on the line at Kellytown. Red Foxes, West Florence, all Hartsville in the first half. Knights battling here in the second. Perkins on the keeper. Keeps those legs moving. Gets a little help from the O-line. He will not be kept out of the end zone. Knights on the board here in the third quarter, but Hartsville would continue to keep the offensive pedal to the ground. Reggie Smith knives through the West defense, hits pay dirt. Red Foxes were in the end zone a lot on this night. 55-19 Hartsville. Red Foxes 2-2 as they host Wilson next week. Wilson on the Grand Strand to take on Mickey Wilson and the Seahawks. Home team rumbles out to a fast start. Antonio Brown out of the Wildcat finds a little room as he bulls his way into the end zone. The sophomore gives the Seahawks the early 7-0 lead. Stay in the first. More from Myrtle Beach. Malachi Washington, the 2023 All-Zoner and homecoming king. Congrats. Extends the Seahawk lead to 14 with 2 minutes to play first quarter. Myrtle Beach continues to put the hammer down. Tanner Gandy, the future, with the strike to a wide open John Kelly, who goes the distance. Seahawks led 35-0 at the half, on their way to a 51-0 win. North Myrtle Beach up next in the Battle of the Beach next Friday at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium. Hello and good evening. Where did the high school football season go? Believe it or not, week 10 in the books. Regular season closed for 2023. We're going to turn our attention to the postseason next week, but let's see how tonight played out, including the battle in Florence. South Florence, West Florence, Bruins looking for back-to-back regular seasons. Perfect. West hoping to knock the Bruins off the perch. We'll see how things transpire tonight at the Nest. All right, we go out to the Knights Castle. Pick it up here. It was a battle early on. Goose eggs on the board. That was until Cyree Livingston gets into the end zone. He has been playing phenomenal football since coming down the stretch. That would finally give the Bruins the early lead. Then it's Zion Gilbert. He'll punch it in for another 6. From that point on, the Bruins would put the pedal down on their way to a 38-0 shutout over West Florence tonight. They conclude the regular season a perfect 10-0. They will, in fact, again, be the #1 overall seed in Class 4A in the lower state. As for West Florence, they will be the 4th seed on the road to start the playoffs a week from tonight. The battle for the beach, North Myrtle Beach and Myrtle Beach. We go to Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium and get this action going. These two always have a battle. First quarter, Seahawks march right down the field. Malachi Washington caps the opening drive with the score. The All-Zoner gives Myrtle Beach a 7-0 lead. Chiefs answer on their ground game. Trenton Fredericks walks it in. My friends, we are tied at 7. Later, first quarter, Seahawks air it out. Gibson Goodrow with a dive to John Simmons. He'll do the rest. It's a track meet at this point, and it was underway. Seahawks up 14-7. Second quarter, Chiefs again running behind the Big Cats up front. Fredericks, for the second time, puts another 6 on the board, and we are tied yet again at 14. Myrtle Beach goes right back down the field. Goodrow, deep shot, and check out this catch. Simmons getting it done. Man, he had a night, and so did the Seahawks. They go on to win this one 56-21. They will host May River to open up the postseason. We'll see what happens moving forward in the Class 4A playoffs. And that brings us to Wilson and Hartsville. Let's go to the action up there at Kellytown Stadium. Pick up here early on. Wilson gets on the board with the early field goal, and they led 3-0 at Kellytown. But back come the Red Foxes. Douglas finds a wide open receiver who just strolls down the middle of the field. That would put Hartsville on the board with the first touchdown of the game. But they weren't quite done. How about McKendry Douglas doing it himself? The North-South All-Star and ABC 15 All-Zoner helps out the cause as the Red Foxes pick up the win tonight. Your final there, 16-3. Hartsville home next week to open the postseason as they will welcome AC Flora, from what I understand. Let's go to
going out to the PD team, the defending champs in the South Florence Bruins, taking on a favorable matchup in Lugoff Elgin, the low 16 seed for Region 4A. Let's get to the action real quick. As we get quick movements here, the Bruins will get up early in this one, as they like to do, and not look back, with a Livingston keeper pushing in. Nobody can grab that man as he goes in for 6. Bruins, very powerful running attack has led them to this point in the season. Usually relying on that passing attack, but this year it's been really run down your throat again with Livingston. Again, another score, and again, another South Florence win as they keep this win train rolling. As we roll over to the highlights, or the scoreboard in this one, didn't even let Lugoff Elgin in the end zone. Goose egged them. South Florence now looking to take on Richland Northeast, who got a big win over Bluffton. So that subsequent matchup for South Florence should be tough, should be fun, and most likely should be once again at home in South Florence. Bruins, though, roll on into week 12. And we roll on with this fun show down over on the beach. May River taking on Myrtle Beach. And we'll get this thing started off really quick for you. Fast action. First kickoff and first fumble. May River coughing it up really quick there. Nodelman giving it right to the Seahawks in good field position. They make quick work of it. Malachi Washington breaking into the outside. 21-yard scamper and score. Seahawks up on the board, 7-zip, really quick here. River Sharks, though, will answer back. They're down 14 at this point, but Tanner Macy calls his own number and slips in through the Seahawk defense for the score, making it a one-score game. But then the Seahawks capitalizing again on some good pass play there. Good row. Simmons connecting. 21-7 your score at this point. We'll go to the scoreboard. It remained all Myrtle Beach. 40-14 your final. Myrtle Beach looking really good heading into week 12 now. They'll have most likely one of the toughest teams in the state in their class. Seahawks head to Irmo next week. We move back down into the PD again, another top-ranked local team. Hartsville taking on a familiar foe in AC Flora, who's typically deep into the playoffs. Not necessarily a regular season AC Flora is used to, but one the Red Foxes look to capitalize on. And we get rolling real quick over to Kellytown we go. We'll go into the end of the first half here, though. Douglas dropping back, and he finds Jackson Moore right there. Nice catch, nice grab. Hartsville's already up at this point, 35-21. AC Flora kickoff here. Why are we showing you a kickoff? Well, because there's something fun about to happen. Yes, sir. Maybe number 2, but he is number 1 on kickoffs. Demarion Coe catching it, going all the way down. Hartsville up 49-21 at this point. Electricity is in the cool Hartsville air as the Foxes are rolling. Your scoreboard, the final. Red Foxes 70-27. There were a couple of 70-pointer games tacked on this evening. Hartsville gets to claim one of them. I think the other one was the Colleton County matchup. They got really beat up hard. And of course, Richland Northeast put up 74. So a powerful Hartsville offense showing off there as they now head to unbeaten James Island for week 12 action. That should be a fun matchup there in the Low Country. And speaking of the Low Country, we'll close out 4A. Some teams were away this evening, then get into the full 3A action for you as the End Zone continues on after this. We'll take you down to the Low Country for West Florence taking on Lucy Beckham. This matchup, a critical one. West Florence likes to get in there and still be deep into the playoffs, typically a top-seeded school itself. The Knights taking on a tough task, though, with Lucy Beckham. As we get down to this Friday night rivals game of the week for our affiliates down in the Low Country. Big reason so. The Bengals are doing pretty great right now, and they start off fast on the offense. Steven Seegers with the handoff, and he has some blockers and leaps in. Finds a score there. Flashy uniforms for the Bengals as we get right back to that quick Lucy Beckham offense. Ballard not finding a receiver open. Man, he's got wheels. Gets in. Goal to go with that big run. And they capitalize. Another score for the Bengals. Go to goal there. That was really quick work on the West Florence defense. But the West Florence defense not done yet. Quick INT right there. Xavier Davis knocking it loose for the pick, but didn't capitalize on that. And then Lucy Beckham learned their lesson, stayed on the ground where they've been dominating all night long. That was a 17-yard touchdown run to put them up, and that's where they stayed. In your final of this one, down in the Low Country, West Florence exiting the postseason early. Only one score in this game. We roll on now to another tough matchup for a PD school taking on James Island for the Wilson Tigers. Matchup, well, you maybe kind of understand where this one went. James Island is doing pretty good with the Trojans. We start off this one with McCoy and his Trojans ready to make some noise. Defense doing it first. Maxwell getting that big tackle, but Wilson with that fiery offense would make some moves. After a turnover, they had a 30-yard first down run for Emmanuel there. The Waiters keeping it for himself. The ground game is also what the Tigers love to do well. They're up 6-0 in this one. The Trojans would drive right back down, pitch to Scott, and he takes it 32 yards. Breakaway speed, leaving the defender in his dust. James Island would go up on that play, and they would not look back. Wilson returning to PD. Their season is over. This final in the Low Country, 49-21. 6. Again, James Island will be playing host to Hartsville in a top 10 matchup. Hartsville 10th in the state to go take on 4th-ranked James Island next week. Wilson. Your season's over, but hey, basketball's just around the corner. And now we're running fair this evening as they were in the Midlands, taking on top-ranked Gilbert. Braves, Falcons. In this one, the Falcons, though they've had a great season, nothing can really diminish the turnaround they've had. Still a great start to this one as the Falcons get going on the ground. 7-0 early lead there. Gilbert, though, had to answer, and they did. They go right back with this. Trevon Williamson, nice long hard run, bouncing over his own guy on the ground, getting them into the red zone. And about a couple plays later, it is Williamson yet again. This time he finds the end zone. Gilbert's first touchdown of the night. So this was close early on. Falcons, though, would give way to some back-to-back scores here or there. And they'd fall on the road as we show you the final in this one. It was the top-ranked boys, Gilbert, 49-12, your final.
At home to take on Richland Northeast, and another opportunity to inch one step closer to Orangeburg and a possible repeat as state champs. Bruins fired up and ready to get the action going. First quarter, Cyree Livingston has been an absolute beast. Ever since Sellers went down, takes the snap, he's off, early score, Bruins on the board, 7-0. Cavs, though, they come right back. Will Wilson, the quarterback keeper, touchdown, and we are tied at 7. But as we move to the second quarter, one of the most bizarre plays that you'll see in football in general. Livingston, well, he's all the way down. The ball pops out right back into his arms. Let me tell you something, my friends. When that happens to your football team and it's going your way, it's going your way. And that's exactly what happened tonight for the #1 team in the state of South Carolina. Bruins all over Richland Northeast, 50-20, your final in this one. And that sets the stage for round 3 next week. Bruins home to take on Lancaster, who upset Lucy Beckham. Matter of fact, that football team was 1-9 going into the playoffs, and they've won back-to-back games to reach this point next week against the Bruins. To go on the road and play one of the better teams, if not one of the best teams in all of South Carolina in Irmo. Up to the Midlands, we get the action going here early on. A.J. Brand is an absolute beast. That is why the Yellow Jackets are undefeated. The keeper in for the score. Yellow Jackets strike first, 7-0, their early lead. Later on, it's 7-3 when Jaden Allen Hendricks finds plenty of green grass, and nobody is going to catch that young man. He rumbles in for the second score of the night for the home team as the Yellow Jackets build a 14-3 lead. But Myrtle Beach comes back. Gibson Goodrow on 4th down hits Green across the middle, and that right there would put Myrtle Beach on the board. Seahawks, as a matter of fact, cut this lead to 10 in the third quarter, but could get no closer. But they gave the Yellow Jackets all they could handle, but they fall short in this one. Your final tonight from the Midlands, 55-24, as the Seahawks finish the season 9-3, but hats off to them. A lot of those players that played this year will be back next year. 10th-ranked Hartsville on the road at James Island. The Red Foxes have Carmelo back and Cruz last week. How will they do today against James Island? Over to the backyard we go. Jamar McCoy and the Trojans leading in the second half. Big time play here. Braxton Scott flush from the pocket. Throws it back to Jalen Brown, Singleton, and Singleton with some wheels. Look at that young man put on the speed to the end zone. That touchdown there would extend James Island's lead to 42-21. Hartsville, they had their chances, just couldn't quite get things going in the second half because the Trojans, they just put the pedal down. Tank Scott rumbles down, this time for 26 yards, picks up good field position, and that drive continues, and it ends with a Gary Dangerfield field goal. This one, all James Island's Hartsville season comes to a close. They fall 45-21. So the only team out of Region 6 that remains is the #1 team in the state in South Florence. South Florence hit the field Friday searching for the program's second straight lower state title. Third-ranked Irmo made the trek from the Midlands for a showdown, a battle between two undefeated teams with a berth in the Class 4A state championship on the line. Bruins began the night riding a 28-game winning streak and rather dominant at Bruin Stadium. First quarter, South goes right to work. Cyree Livingston continues his postseason success, jumps over the Jacket defense, 7-0 Bruins, good start. South continued that early success. Rinse and repeat for Livingston, his second score of the half. Bruins led 13-0 heading into the second. Irmo makes a run to end the half. Aaron Brand sneaks around the Bruins defense to find pay dirt, cuts the South lead to 13-7 at the break. Start of the third, South back down the field. Zion Gilbert loses the rock, but check out all-zoner Justin Joe picking up the pigskin. The offensive lineman carries a host of Jackets into the end zone. Bruins had the mojo working as they won this one 28-21, punching their ticket to the 4A championship behind their defense in a drive to win another title.
We put them in some bad spots, and there at the end, man, they didn't know where we were coming from, and we were able to get out to the quarterback. Our defense played physical tonight. They were really, really good, and they were the difference.
We got another week. We're not worried about it being a state championship game. It's another week of work. It's another game. We're going to be focused, execute our game plan, and just hope for the best.
Man, you know it's a game when your head coach is hoarse. So here we are. The championship for the 4A title will go down like this. The Bruins will face 6th-ranked Westside, who beat Greenville for the upper state title. The two teams will determine the championship a week from tomorrow, noon, on the campus of South Carolina State. Entering the day, top-ranked South Florence was focused on the state championship and winning the program's second straight title. To do so, Bruins had to beat a solid team in Westside who hadn't captured state gold since the late 60s. The Bruin faithful showed out and then some for their defending state champs. However, Westside took the opening drive 77 yards in 4 plays, capped by this 1-yard score by D. Robertson, giving the Rams an early 7-0 lead. Bruins in unfamiliar territory, but they would respond, going 85 yards on their first drive. Cyree Livingston battles in from 5 to put South Florence on the board, and just like that, we are knotted at 7. Hey, guess what? Lenora Sellers in the house enjoying the festivities. A Zoman doing so. Zion Gilbert's there as well. The junior going for 207 yards and this score. South Florence would take their first lead. Time winding down here in the first frame. Livingston going back to work. Plenty of green grass. He finds the end zone for the third time as the